Alrighty, guys, what's up? Good morning. Welcome to the stream. We have a crazy day for the markets. We have a few earnings this morning that we'll cover in a little while. But man, the SPY right now is going absolutely crazy to the upside. Looks like we might get a retest of those all-time highs here. I've had some people saying AMC is on fire. But good morning, everyone. Good morning, Keisha, Corbin, Santiago, Sean D, Giovanni, Jamie, Raphael, Sean Cornish, Sylvia, Iranical, Pratt. I appreciate everybody joining the chat. Let me know what stocks you guys are watching. I saw somebody say that AMC was bouncing, and yes, it is up back above $30, running back up towards 32 with a pretty good move today, and it had bottom a low around 28.50. The market just opened, guys. Welcome to the stream. Santiago says AMD keeps bouncing off that 116 support. Let's go check out AMD, one of my favorite stocks on the market. Hopefully we can get a good bounce here. That is a good bounce, Santiago. I do like that. And that is a pretty good green candle actually it opened. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some good momentum flowing into the stock. I'd really like to see, Facebook or AMD anyways, get to the upside. But talking about Facebook, they're actually falling off to the downside after looking like they might have a pretty good run up above 360. So Facebook looks like it's going red. The S&P 500 itself, the SPY, was green. Now it's going red again. A very volatile open as usual. But man, guys, let me know what you're watching. Good morning, everybody. I really appreciate you joining this morning. Mike's still not here, still on vacation, but hopefully we can get some good movement in the market. We have Robinhood today selling off big time, down 16%, down $11. I'm not really surprised. It was up so much yesterday, but a lot of people were still expecting this stock to kind of run. When it gets momentum, it really likes to start going. And man, Robinhood is just one of those hype stocks. And I figured a lot of people would kind of hop back in, but looks like Robinhood is going to be going to the downside. I will say this 15-minute setup does not look the best as far as bullish movement looks. But as of right now, the price action looks pretty bearish for Robinhood. And I think there's a good support down there around $50. So hopefully we can hold there. Sorry about that, but going back to the SPY over here, the S&P 500 is looking actually like we might run up. There's that big resistance up there around 441. I think that's a good area to watch for today. The S&P 500 is really kind of consolidating right around 440.25. I think if we break out above this, we'll head up towards 441. And I will say it looks pretty nice on my chart. I'm seeing some pretty good movement here, and overall, the S&P 500 has been having a very flat past couple weeks. It's just been trading between this main range of like 436 with a high of 441, and it's just been trading between there seriously for like the past 2 weeks. So honestly, we're getting towards the top of the range, so maybe look for it to go back down again, but at some point something's going to have to give. We're going to have to get a move up or down one way or the other. And man, AMC today, let's go see AMC actually looking pretty bad now. It was having that little run around open, and now we're really pulling back to the downside. Not a good move at all. These red candles are actually looking pretty bad on AMC. Let me know your thoughts on AMC in the chat, guys. I know that AMC has been a pretty crazy stock lately. Are you guys thinking that we could get another bounce, or is everybody on the same page that we're we fell below support and we might start going down now? I have no idea what you guys are thinking, but let me know your thoughts. I know that those earnings are coming up next week on August 9th, so that'll definitely be a very interesting day for AMC, to say the least. There's definitely a lot of hype around AMC and around everything like that. So, and all those stocks they can obviously turn back around with some momentum. I mean, we did see it this morning in pre-market. It hit around $28.50. And we ran like all the way up to $32.50. So that's a pretty good 4-point run there. If you can catch those, you'll be doing pretty good there. Let's go check out some of these other stocks, though. I'm going to go ahead and check out some of my watch list really quick. And there's not a lot of stocks moving up today too drastically. We have NVDA kind of trying to get itself back to the upside here, trying to move back, but just having a pretty slow day overall. It is moving though, which is awesome. It moved up above $200 a share a couple days ago, moved up above 205 this morning, and it looks like it is kind of in a nice bullish setup here. And just looking at like the 90-day 15-minute, it's very nice getting back up towards those all-time highs. I wonder if we'll like retest 209 on NVIDIA today. We're actually only 3 points away, and man, NVIDIA has been one of the best stocks in the market. Definitely a good runner, and I cannot wait for NVIDIA to retest these highs or possibly get the new highs, because man, there's a lot of stuff going on with these semiconductor stocks, all these shortages and everything like that, and I'm really hoping that we can see some good movement out of them. And you know, a lot of their stuff is produced in China, so hopefully there's no more bad China news, because that stuff can definitely affect these stocks, you know, in a negative way. And whenever you're looking at these stocks like Nvidia, they move a lot off of news. Like for example, Nvidia will come out with a new graphics card, or it'll get announced that they sold, you know, a record amount of cards this year at all-time high prices, or you know, something like that. So there's always that type of news. And like I talked about at the beginning, though, I'm going to kind of transfer into these earnings plays here. So this morning we had Moderna, Penn, Viacom, Wayfair, Yeti. So a lot of stocks, Regeneron even, which is a pretty interesting stock. But if we go check out Moderna and Penn, those two stocks were actually pretty well. I should say a lot of people were watching them. You know, Moderna had a lot of eyes on their earnings as well as DraftKings. And looking at Moderna, their earnings were actually good. They beat their EPS, but they ended up going down. I didn't look into it too much, but they are going back up now at open, which is awesome. And these vaccine stocks have been flying, like Moderna, some of the other ones. And man, just looking at Moderna on the daily chart, it's getting so high, but these earnings are so good though. Like it's at a 6.46 EPS, and we were at only 2.84 last time. So that's a pretty interesting thing to see, you know, whenever you're looking at stuff and you can see all that going on. All right. Getting into these questions now, though. We have Corbin saying watching GLD and Apple, and of course AMD. But hang on, I cannot forget Penn Gaming. Cannot forget them on the earnings really quick. Let's see, their earnings look like they went south, but then again it opened. We have some more green momentum, so I don't know if we'll be able to get back up there. But Penn actually posted a good EPS and almost came down to that $60 support area, which has been one of my favorite areas for Penn for a long time. So I think for like the longer term, Penn's still in a great area to kind of pick up shares for the long term. And you know, their EPS is actually getting good, so I really like it. But getting into this, we have Corbin saying, I'm watching GLD and Apple, and of course AMD. So yeah, of course we're watching AMD down 2% today. I'm wondering if today will be the start of the downturn for AMD. You know, it's starting to, you know, move off to the downside. It's falling below some of these SMAs, and I will say at open today, it's not having the best movement so far. So hopefully AMD can get back up there, or else I know a lot of people are probably going to be pretty upset or mad at, you know, a lot of people have been trying to chase AMD to the upside every single day, and it's been working out. So once we finally turn over, I'm sure a lot of people are going to start feeling that. But looking at Apple for you, Corbin, I think Apple looks like it's also turning over to the downside. Not a good sign. Hopefully that doesn't bring the QQQ down, which it doesn't look like it's not as of right now. We have AMD just kind of sitting there, and GLD. Let's see, GLD actually had that really bad downturn. They had a huge run in pre-market and then had a really bad move back to the downside. And man, I think that $DXY is going to end up going up over the next couple months. And if that ends up going up, then gold will end up going down, which is not a good sign. But Bibbin says DXY index is your fundamental view on the dollar. So yeah, look at that. We're already on DXY. My fundamental view on the dollar is that it's going to go up in value, at least in the shorter term. You know, I could say like for like the next year or two, I think that we'll see the dollar going up. Here's some technicals going all the way back to actually like 2017, 2018. So really good technicals, I think, and I love how it's kind of holding up very well. And it's looking like an inverse head and shoulders kind of setup, with the shoulders being right around 92 on the index. So I really like it, Bibbin, and I think it'll end up going up. But I think it'll also make gold go down, because gold generally falls whenever this goes up. So that's the way, you know, to look at it usually. Alex says good morning. Good morning, Alex. Thanks for joining. Same with Vicky. Good morning. Iranical says NVIDIA is going up. NVDA. Let's go check it out. And yeah, NVIDIA is really going up. They might retest those all-time highs right around yeah, 209, 210 area. I know we covered it a little bit earlier, but it's holding these levels very, very nicely today, and it has a lot of movement. So hopefully we can get that type of momentum, get back up there and retest like 209 or 210, somewhere right around those all-time highs. Ironical says C2 for Roku, so let's check it out. ROKU. Yeah, I mean, Roku had that really bad earnings yesterday in after hours. Not a good sign, but their EPS was good. They just moved down, and I don't know. I didn't look into it exactly, but I'm sure there's some fundamental reason why that happened. If they, missed sales or something like that. But we'll have to check and see. Their EPS was decent though, so hopefully they can come back. But I really like it. I think Roku looks like a decent play, like for shares for the longer term, maybe leaps. But I don't think I'd grab like any short term calls or anything. I think it's a pretty crazy stock there. Ironical, especially after earnings with that big drop. You never know which way it's gonna go. We got Keisha. Keisha saying Biden is signing a bill for EV. Hopefully Tesla can go ahead and break past 720. Yeah, I hope it can, Keisha. Lots of people have been looking at Tesla lately and really like looking for some key moves. Whenever you like look at Tesla, NIO, and all these EV stocks, I mean, Tesla has been just one of those stocks that people have been waiting for a long time. We're finally up above $700 per share, and I'd really like to see a good move out of it. Hopefully they can break out of 720, kind of like you said. I think that would be a good move, but it looks like they actually failed to do that, and they hit right off of that to the downside. So not a good sign in the short term, and hopefully we get a turnaround because, man, Tesla is one of my favorite stocks, and I was really liking the momentum that we were seeing. And just right now, it's not a good sign. It is actually hitting right off of this longer term blue trend line again and kind of failing to break out above that. So that's not a good sign on the daily chart. That usually shows us that the stock might go down. But with the break up above 700, I was really looking for a big move with Tesla, but we're not really getting anything going right now. Karan says mRNA only, and then Maine says mRNA is crazy. And wow, it is. Hitting highs of 443, running all the way up through 430 today. Man, this stock is just absolutely on a tear. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. These vaccine stocks must really be doing well. I know that they've been getting contracts with different governments, and different people have been like kind of buying up stuff and buying up these vaccines in like the millions. So I hope that it helps these companies kind of like it is doing. But man, at some point these companies will come back down, which will be it'll definitely not be a good day for whoever bought the stock at the top or whoever has calls when the stocks start to go down. But man, right now these vaccine stocks, specifically Moderna and a couple of others, have just done so well. I can't believe it. Just treat it as a straight momentum play though. Don't know what to think about it. They had those earnings yesterday. Thought maybe they'd go down on those, but looks like the earnings are pushing them up even higher. So really blowing my mind with Moderna right now. Don't even know what to think about that. Jerry says Amazon is not looking too hot. Let's see. Amazon, yeah, you're right. On the daily, not looking good. We gap down back below that blue trend line that I was really liking for the longer term. We have that support down around $3,000. I think Amazon could definitely go down. Just looking at AMZN's chart, I would say on the daily, I mean, we had that one green day trying to go back up, but other than that, we're just sitting down here around 33.50, just down here at these lows around, we hit 3,300 at the bottom. Then I'll be honest, I think that we could go even lower with Amazon, just given the bad earnings we had. And the earnings weren't bad necessarily, but just the outlook and everything was not good, and obviously the stock fell. So just looking at Amazon, I would say, looking at it, use 3,300 as that good low point where we hit a couple days ago. I think that'll be a good support area. Maybe if we break that, then really look at it down. But I'm with you, definitely not looking hot at all. I would definitely look at this one to the downside. I don't think I'd be playing calls on this one at all. Mike says good morning. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for joining the stream. We have Raphael with thoughts on SPCE earnings today. SPCE didn't even know they had earnings later today, but hopefully they can have a good outlook. They've been beaten down ever since that 500 million share offering, and hopefully I think that this should help the stock kind of go back up. I think that'll be a really good thing for SPCE if those earnings can go well and they have like a good forecast. Now that they keep in mind their earnings have been negative, 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 they haven't really had any sales and they haven't been able to fly at all. So once we start to see this stuff going on, I think that we'll see some bigger moves to the upside, which will be really, really nice for SPCE. We have Hunter saying Tommy Tenders just checked in at the airport. Hey, Hunter, give us some insight on American Airlines, Delta. Let us know how it's looking because their charts are looking pretty good. Looks like they're bouncing right around support on a lot of these airlines here. But hope your flight goes safe for you, Hunter. Everybody give Hunter some W's in the chat. He's about to go on a flight, so wish him some luck. Let's see LUV though, Southwest. I think that Southwest is one of my favorite ones, of course, for the longer term. I think they'll be perfectly fine along with LUV, which is Delta Airlines. And let's see. Oh no, LUV is Southwest. That's right. Delta is DAL. Sorry, got my tickers a little confused here with these airlines. But, there's a lot of different airlines too. You have the off-brand ones like Spirit and, people like that. But normally like UAL, AAL, LUV, those are like the three big airlines that everybody likes to use. And honestly, like United doesn't look too bad either. But I know American Airlines is one of the worse off ones, like as far as fundamentals go, they're just not the better one. Yeah, Corbin. Yeah, everybody give Hunter those W's, baby. He needs them. Hunter says the airport is dead. That's not a good thing to hear, Hunter. I'll be honest. And it's like it's not a bad time where you are either. It's like 9:46 in the morning. Usually, I think we'd see a lot of flights or a lot of people there at least. But man, I know whenever I was in Orlando, the airport was popping. So hopefully, that whenever you land, it's a little bit better. But man, yeah, just looking at these airlines, American looks pretty solid actually. It's bouncing on the daily chart, kind of has some green candles intraday, and just has like some good movement. It looks like to the upside. I think that overall, it just looks like that there could be, a pretty good move here with these stocks. So I really like it, like with these airlines, and I think that we could see a turnaround. And if anyone is looking to put some stuff away or put some stocks away for the longer term, I think that these airlines are at some very good levels, at some support, especially American, United, Southwest, Delta. I think that those ones are going to be the better ones to go for. Obviously, you have those off-brand ones, like I said, but these ones are definitely going to be the killers. Let's see what we have on the chart here. Let's see. A lot of people are talking about Moderna still. Let's see it. mRNA. Yeah, I mean, it's actually falling back off. Not a good thing to see, but we hit highs around 443, 444. So that's a really good thing to see that we got that high, but now we're all the way back down to 433, heading down to 430. I'm wondering how big this intraday pullback is going to be on Moderna after that big run we had this morning. That was pretty big, bigger than the run we had yesterday just about. So, well, really just about the same. It was just faster. So that means that we might have, more volatility. And with those earnings, I'm not, too surprised to see all that volatility coming in the way we did. Hunter goes, hope I'm not on a 747. Yeah, I hope not either, Hunter. That would be a pretty scary thing, especially if it said max, like really big on the side. That would worry me. Let's see. We have G saying, I flew AAL a month back. Horrible experience. Never using them again. Wow. Yeah, I've actually only flown. I flew Delta Airlines a lot. Like whenever I was like 12 years old, when I went to Mexico, I flew on Delta. They were actually really good, back then anyways. But every modern day flight I've taken has been with COVID going on. So I've been looking at, I've honestly been a big Southwest guy, using LUV just about every single time. The one thing I don't like about Southwest is the flights are always packed, which I don't like. But in the end, you just have to put up with it. But it's it's not too bad in the end. But I'll say I've never flown American. That's a bad review you're giving them, Gab. There, I flew AAL a month back, never using them again. So, guys, let me know your favorite airlines in the chat. Hunter, which airline are you flying? I'll be curious to see that. He says, had to help a Russian lady find her gate. Guess I'm trilingual now. Yeah, I guess you are, Hunter. You've been watching too much RT. Too much of that Russian TV or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty crazy, Hunter. Vicky says check out CRM. Vicky also says I love Delta. Yeah, Vicky, I've heard a lot of people say they like Delta. I would love to try to fly Delta in the future. One of my like aspirations, and I don't do a lot of flights, so I probably would have done this if I would take flights, but I've only been on like 5 flights in my life. But I would say I've always wanted to go on like a first class flight, but since I've been flying, it's always been COVID. So like the flights have been crazy expensive. But yeah, right now, Delta, I mean, man, I think it looks pretty good to the upside. I'd say they all look pretty good. Hunter says I've only flown Delta. So yeah, I mean, I've heard really good things about Delta and Southwest. Those two have always been the ones I've heard about. But Vicky says check out CRM. Let's get back into the stocks. Salesforce running right to the upside here, to up to 246, actually with a really big move. Let's check out that max daily. Yeah, I actually really like it, Vicky. If it could pass above 250, which I think that we're going to go up and test, so we could have a good day trade going on. But I think if we get up through there, that could actually be a really good play. I really like that. And man, just looking at like some of those stocks, it looks really solid. Looking at some oil stocks though, like Exxon and Mobil, moving off to the downside, that's a good thing to see for us. And just overall, Exxon and Mobil has they've been up a little bit the past year, and I think a lot of people are kind of looking for them to maybe start to dip back off even more with oil kind of going down. So we'll have to see how that one ends up playing out. We have the SPY kind of going up again, up to 440, 50 today, kind of looking like it wants to run back up. Not a good sign in the short term. We have a lot of those stocks like Moderna doing well today. NVIDIA, MU, BAC. Let's go check out MU. I'll be honest, MU is a really big underdog in the semiconductor market. Everybody looks at AMD, NVIDIA, all these hype ones, but like Qualcomm and MU, some of them are really good, especially MU, just because of what kind of chips they make. For example, Qualcomm's actually having a pretty bad day today, down 1.65%. That's a pretty bad sell-off actually for Qualcomm, but MU has actually been coming back from the grave pretty well. Look, moved up above $80 with a pretty nice move. And they make memory, and they make memory for AMD. I believe they make it for NVIDIA. You'll have to double check me on some of these, but I know that they were causing some problems for companies like AMD and stuff whenever their memory was like having a shortage problem like over the past year or two. So it could definitely be interesting for the longer term. And a lot of analysts look at MU and say that AMD, NVIDIA are like all like the best stocks for the longer term. But for some reason, MU's been going down over the past few months. And I don't know if that's just from negative earnings or if it's from like the chip shortage or what's going on. But I'll be honest, MU I think will be one of the better longer term pickups for the next like 5 to 10 years. If you have like a bigger portfolio, I think grabbing some of this would definitely be a viable option, or selling some puts on it. And we actually have AMD going in the red today, down 3%, moving all the way down to 114. I know a lot of people are going to be upset with this one. That is a bad move, actually falling below the 1,000 SMA on the 1 minute, which is not a good sign. We've honestly been holding this 1,000 for the past few days and moving right to the upside off of that 1,000. I actually circled it right there on the chart. But the overall, now we're below the 1,000, we're below the 100. Not good technicals now for AMD. I definitely would not be going long or getting any calls right now. That's for certain. And I wonder if we'll start to see the overall market start to come down off of this, but it looks like we're not. The SPY's still staying up, just moving up to the upside the way it has been. But hopefully, AMD is getting pretty overextended up above 100, hitting 122. Not the biggest move in the world, but for a stock that's only costing like 90 to 100 bucks, that's a pretty big move, to be honest. And just like looking at AMD, it looks like a pretty solid play, possibly to the downside for the next couple days. So really have your eyes on it. I think we could see more downwards movement, and it looks like on the 1 minute chart we actually are, which is not a good sign at all. Let's see. We have Alex saying, "Can you look at SQ for a swing trade?" Sure thing, Alex. Let me know any other stocks you guys want me to see. But looking at Square, I think it looks pretty solid today. Actually, it looks like a pretty good play. But as far as a swing trade goes, we have a lot of stocks at all-time highs like AMD. The SPY is kind of getting close. We're at like 440.60. Not a not a good move like this morning for the SPY for us, but I will say Square looks like it wants to get a good breakout here to the upside. It looks like it's trying to break out above 280, which I think it looks like it could be pretty good. So hopefully it's a pretty good mover for you, and anything up above 280 could be decent. And I've always, let's see. Maine says my favorite was Singapore Airlines. I only flew Singapore, Thai, Malaysian, and Sri Lankan. That's funny. You flew a Sri Lanka like you flew their airline. That's pretty funny. I've never heard of their airline before, but hopefully that was a pretty cool trip. Sri Lanka sounds pretty cool. They said I'd never flown AAL, but heard so many bad things about them. Yeah, there's so many bad things about that. I've heard bad things about them too. I've always wanted to try like their first class though. Not a lot of companies do like first class flights anymore. I know Southwest doesn't do first class. Delta usually doesn't have. Sometimes they'll have first class. I think it depends on like how long the flight and everything. But I've always wanted to try that for some reason. But nowadays I've heard that like with COVID you can't even order drinks on the flight, and that would be my main reason for the first class was to order the drinks. But apparently you can't even do that now. So that's going to be a weird situation. But Giovanni says, any thoughts on ZM? Let's go check it out. Zoom's been a really popular, really talked about stock the past couple weeks. Really had a good move yesterday. And honestly, today had a great move. Popped up above that high of yesterday, but it looks like it was a fake out. Moved right back down below 400 a share now. Definitely not a good sign in the shorter term. Giovanni, I would say look at Zoom to go down possibly for like the next few minutes if you're looking at like day trades for it. If you can get another pop back above that high of today, I think it would be pretty cool. So that's pretty good. Maine says I'm from Sri Lanka, so my first flight was Sri Lankan. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that, Maine. I'll definitely have to look up Sri Lanka. It sounds like a really nice place. I know I've seen it and heard it in the past, but I haven't looked it up in a long time. But man, I actually see that Regeneron posted some crazy earnings. Just got the word sent to my phone here on investing.com. Regeneron posted a 25.8 EPS versus a 8.81 estimate, and they are moving to the downside. Not a good sign for Regeneron, but wow, cannot believe the type of move that this is having right now. This is honestly really crazy with Regeneron, and man, really volatile on earnings. That IV got crushed. I really would have expected them up though. Those earnings really beat, hitting a 25.8 EPS. Sri Lanka. I thought it was Sri Lanka. Okay, I guess. Yeah. Sorry. I know I have a lot of pronunciation problems with stuff like that. So sorry, Maine, if I pronounced that wrong for you, but it's pronounced Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, not Sri Lanka. So gotcha. So Sri Lanka. Okay, that makes sense. I see where people say. I see how people get that confused now, though. Thank you, though, Augusta. I appreciate it. Hopefully, that's the right way to say. Yeah, Maine says yes. Thank you. I was typing that. Yeah, thank God, because I'm sure you guys. I'm sure you guys hate it whenever Americans are mispronouncing where you're from like that, like Sri Lanka. I'm sure Sri Lanka is like making your ears blow out. So. But yeah, looking at the stocks again, Regeneron moving pretty good. SPY today, kind of looking like it wants to get another run. If we see another run, we might have to cut those SPY puts. Definitely getting some, looks like it's trying to get that momentum back to the upside again today. My watch list, I'm actually seeing the marijuana stocks do pretty well today. We have CGC moving very well today on the chart, actually up 3.4%. Moving awesomely. ACB's up 4% with a good run. We got Tilray running as well. Tilray is actually getting up towards that resistance of yesterday, right around 1450. You could say like 1457. So that's going to actually be a really, really interesting move to watch and see like how Tilray kind of goes. But hang on one second. I just have to update this position. I don't think we're going to be holding the SPY any longer let's check it out. It's actually moving pretty badly today for us, moving straight to the upside for those puts anyways, but you know, at least the overall market's going up, which is a good sign. But yeah, the SPY is starting to break out now, so we will go ahead and send that off. But let's go ahead and check out Robinhood. You know, it's been a long time today since we checked Robinhood. Guys, look at this. Robinhood's actually bouncing off this $60 support, looking like we might get a decent move back to the upside. And man, that would be a pretty good thing to see, and actually out of Robinhood. I think Robinhood could be a pretty good play for like the next couple days, next couple weeks possibly. But with that way it dropped back down today, I think it could show that there's a lot of a lot of momentum maybe coming back into this. And I think that just looking at like Robinhood and just looking at a lot of these like brokerages and stuff, you know, like they've done some shady stuff, of course, but I think that they'll end up doing good in the longer term, of course, monetarily. Even though a lot of people don't like them, they make a lot of money. So that's a great thing to see. And obviously, like whenever you have those earnings that are great and everything, that's what you really want to see with the stock like Robinhood, is them making money. Obviously, if there's negative momentum, negative hype, then people are just, you know, being negative about it. But in the end, I think that they'll end up being a pretty good company. And you know, we've seen other ones like let's check out TD. Let me see if I can find it actually. Toronto Dominion. I know that they're on here somewhere, but there's a lot of other brokerages like you know, like brokerages everybody else uses, like E-Trade and stuff like that. I can't think of the symbols. Let me see if I can do it. ET maybe, or E. Nope. Yeah, I'll have to look it up actually really quick. Let's check it out and see some of these E-Trade stock symbol. It's been a long time since I've looked up some of these companies like this, but I know that they do have one. So it's ETFC. So it's E-Trade Financial. So ETFC. Let's see. Oh, looks like it actually changed a long time ago. So yeah, we'll have to see how that ends up playing out. But I know that there's other ones on the market like TD Ameritrade and, you know, other brokerages kind of like that. Charles Schwab, of course, and different things. All right, so let's see. We have Warland saying Fastly got clapped. Let's see. FSLY. Hopefully it's not a bad move down. And wow. Fastly really did get clapped. They were at $50 a few days ago. Now we're sitting at $34. That's a big move down through that lower support. Honestly, that one really scares me. Fastly for the longer term, I thought was getting down towards support, but with that big move, breakthrough down through that to the downside, not a good sign at all. Hate to see that right now, but wow. Let's see. Maine says no, but in local dialect you're correct, but people call it Shri. Oh, okay. So in local dialect I'm correct. It is Sri Lanka, so that makes sense. I've heard a lot of people call it Siri. I've heard a lot of weird things with it, so that's funny. Yeah. Augusta said, do you see Fastly? Yeah, just covered it. Really crazy. Let's see. Silent says, yo, how do you feel about NVIDIA? All right, let's see. Fastly's looking terrible. Hopefully NVIDIA is looking good. And wow, it is. It's actually running to the upside. I like it. You know, I think NVIDIA looks pretty bullish. We might actually run up and maybe retest these all-time highs. You know, it looks pretty good on the max daily chart. We're getting up towards that 208.75 high, and I think it looks pretty solid. Karan says AMD's back up. Zoom can move now. I know we were just talking about AMD and NVIDIA, so AMD's trying to come back. Let's see. Yeah, in the 5-minute, it is coming back. Hit off that like 115 support area. Actually hit down around like 114.30, 114.25, but looks like it is moving very well. I would love to see that today. Looks really nice. I'm really happy to see that. Bibin says NASDAQ at all-time highs. Let's check it out. /NQ or the QQQ. Yeah, the NASDAQ is above 15,100. Crazy moves out of the NASDAQ index futures. The QQQ is nuts. 368. Cannot believe what we're seeing. Man, I have to guess like NVIDIA, AMD, and some of these other stocks are bringing it up. But wow, crazy moves that we're seeing out of the overall market. Really nuts. Max says, switch my portfolio from Robinhood to Webull about 2 weeks ago. Personally feel like Webull's interface is better and the platform is better as you graduate from a beginning trader. You know, that makes a lot of sense, Mac. I've used both. Well, I haven't used Webull too much. Very, very little. But as far as it goes, I agree. You know, Robinhood's really good for like the beginning traders. You know, they can be good for like experienced traders too. But if you're experienced, why would you use them? You know, like I think you could just go get a way better platform with good technical indicators, good charts. You know, good price action, way better fills. You know, less glitches, just everything like that. But in the end, I think that Robinhood will do good as a company. Just I'm with you. I think that Webull is a lot better as far as like charts go for like more experienced traders and everything like that. Kieran says, "Oh yeah, AMD's back up now. Zoom can move now. Let's see ZM. It's been a minute since we checked them. Yeah, hopefully they can get another pop. You know, they just broke up through that high and then fell right back down. Hopefully it's not a fake out. I'd like to see a good move up through this area, maybe up above 405. That would honestly be a pretty good thing to see. Karan says shop seems like it's going to be going to 1600 this week. So shop's going to 1600. Let's check it out. SHOP definitely looks like it's trying, on that max daily. I could see it, 1600 is that pretty good resistance and definitely looks like it's going to try. Honestly, I don't think that would be a bad thing to try to like target. 1600 is the top. Silent Streamer gives us the thumbs up to 100. Always appreciate that. Giovanni says thoughts on Roku moving to the upside. I know they just had those earnings. Those earnings were pretty bad, made them really fall off. Now they're going back up. Honestly, I wouldn't play them. They're hitting actually right off this like 403 resistance, actually like right around $400 too. That's actually going to scare me a little bit, especially with the way that the stock fell on earnings, and the earnings were pretty good. They beat those estimates by well over, like 300, 400% there, but still though the stock's going down. So not a good thing to see, but like you said, it is going up today. So that's a good thing to see. But like I said, though, there's a good resistance there around 400, 403. Be really careful of that. If we break that, though, maybe we could get a decent move. But personally, I think the move's about over. I think we had enough of a recovery back up today. Bivin says, which tech stock is shooting up? Let's check it out. So I have a few actually going up today. Personally, on my watch list, I'm seeing NVDA going up. They're a huge tech stock, probably one of the biggest ones in the market as of late, but it looks like they are turning back off to the downside, which is not good to see. We have let's see tech stocks. Yeah, not too many leading my watch list today. NIO and Tesla are green for me. Let's see how they're doing intraday. Yeah, they were doing pretty good. There's NIO. Let's see how Tesla's looking. Tesla is actually a little bit more red, hitting off that 720 resistance of earlier, so that's not a good sign. There's not too many tech stocks actually going green. Yeah, there's just not too many today going green for some reason, but I will say, though, it's not like the market's selling off by any means. We have the QQQ at all-time highs with this going on, but it seems like the bigger tech stocks are not really moving the best. Facebook's up around their highs with green, around $360. Definitely like not looking bad with Facebook by any means. Netflix is actually slightly in the green, so it seems like all the tech stocks are more of just holding their levels rather than like flying up. But I think that we could see some more good movement soon. I will say the banks have actually been looking pretty good. They're kind of like up there in my watch list. And yeah, look at these intraday setups actually, like on Bank of America. Looks like we might actually get a breakout really soon. And if we do, I think Bank of America could be a really good day trade, like for the next like few minutes, maybe for like the next couple hours maybe. That could be some pretty good trades actually. I think that would be a pretty good way to go. Those banks have been kind of getting beaten down lately, just beaten down and beaten down. So hopefully we can just see more more movement here. But man, these stocks are getting so high, and for some reason the SPY and the QQQ are just continuing to move to the upside, which is just a crazy situation, even though lots of stocks aren't necessarily like running up by any means. And AMD was red, so like I'm just really surprised to see the QQQ green, to be honest. It looks like AMD is even turning off and maybe going even lower, so not a good sign. Definitely not a good sign to see in the short term for stocks like that. And why don't we just go check out maybe like CNBC, check out some news like that really quick, see like what's going on here.
CNBC is a pretty good company to watch for news and stuff. Moderna says COVID vaccine booster produced a robust immune response against Delta. Wow, so that's sounds like the Moderna vaccine is running up on Delta variant news because their vaccine apparently produced robust immune response. So that's a really good sign actually. That's a pretty good thing to see. Citibank, it says, calls for 10-year rate at 2%. Here's a way to play a high rate environment. Spirit Airlines cancels half of Thursday flights as travel chaos enters fifth day. Hunter, you just said the airport was empty, at least where you are, but apparently these guys are having to cancel stuff because of bad weather, staffing shortages, weird stuff going on, technology. So weird stuff there. Continuing jobless claims hit new pandemic era low, falling below 3 million. That's a terrible thing to see. Ethereum just activated its London hard fork, and it's a really big deal. So lots of interesting news today, I will say. It's not like we're seeing tons of stuff. Uber CEO explains why he's mandating vaccines for office workers, but not for drivers. Yeah, and guys, let me know in the comments how you feel about the vaccine mandates. I know there's definitely a lot of weird weird opinions on that one. Astra is targeting late August for first launch since going public, carrying a Space Force satellite. That's a really interesting thing to hear. A lot of people have been talking about Astra a lot lately, and that's going to be very interesting for ASTR, which is actually up 11% today. I feel like this one's been really under the radar lately. It's almost like an SPCE. I know lots of people have been talking about it lately, and it's been having some good movement over the past couple weeks, and it's been really consolidating around $8 a share. And I'll tell you what, guys, that's some pretty big news. If you guys have not heard about this yet, this might be big, especially if you guys are into space stocks or if you're into hype or something. Astra is targeting a launch carrying a Space Force satellite. That sounds pretty interesting. And I think that, first launch since going public, and it should be a pretty big thing. It says their Rocket 3 vehicle will lift off from Pacific Space Force Complex on Kodiak Island in Alaska. Interesting launch location, but hopefully that's pretty interesting. Looks like they're carrying a Pentagon payload with the Space Force, so very, very interesting there. Let me know how you guys feel about that in the chat. I think it'll be a pretty cool thing to see. Jerry says any options plays. There is a lot of options plays going on, but keep in mind though that if you're day trading and stuff and you're going after some quick moves, I think that just looking at SPY and trying to catch momentum there, or catching momentum on Moderna or something, could be a really good way to go. Possibly NVDA or AMD can normally make for some pretty good trades too. If you wait for AMD to break support and just grab some quick puts, I think that could be a pretty good way to play it. Let's see. Iranical says Qualcomm falls because offers to buy Swedish auto parts. Okay, makes sense. That would make sense why they had a really bad fall today. That was a pretty bad move to the downside. And like I was talking about earlier, MU had that nice move up. So that was interesting to see them kind of moving separate. But it looks like MU might be consolidating out. They've been going they've had pretty much 8 green days in a row now. I was waiting for them to kind of consolidate, but looks like they're hitting on this 100 SMA on the daily chart, and we might have some problems getting through that. So we might get some longer term opportunities pretty soon with MU if we see the stock start to really fall off to the downside. Vicky says Airbnb, please. Let's check it out. Airbnb, I know that they've been running, and wow, they're up again today. I've really been looking for them to keep running up on the daily. I love the double bottom, Vicky, at $130. I think that was a really amazing level for Airbnb, and just for honestly a lot of stocks. Lots of stocks have been around support lately, and that's the best time to buy, is that support, obviously, especially for shares for the long term. And you don't have to worry about time. You can just kind of hold and just keep holding the stocks, and normally they'll do pretty good. So I really like it. But Airbnb looks like we're having some pretty good moves today, and I like the way it's moving. Looks like we might get that solid breakout that we're looking for up above 148.25, 148.26 resistance. I think that'll be really, really a solid level. Maine says mRNA is in the red now, so not a good not a good thing to hear, Maine. Let's see. Moderna, yeah, really down actually, falling below $420. Looks like they're stopping that momentum that they had early on. And initially they were falling off because of earnings, and then they flew right back up. Now they're going back down. Really up and down day for Moderna, to say the least. And man, really crazy day. Don't know what to say about Moderna getting so high. Personally, I would start to look at shorts on them soon, but at the same time, like, it's so hard to say because they could just keep running up. They're having this good news like with the Delta variant and everything, so they could see some increased stuff going on. Let's see. We have Maine saying, or no, we have J Trade saying good morning. Thoughts on Spotify? Been a few days since we talked about Spotify actually. Looking at them, I say it looks pretty solid off that 215 support. That looks like a pretty good lower level to look for. Yeah, definitely on the daily chart too. I think it's good to buy some shares or some leaps right now. That would definitely be the way I try to play Spotify. And I think it looks good for a play for the longer term to the upside. For the short term, looks like we might like retest these lows or just hover around here. So could definitely see that going on. Vicky says Spirit is trash and they treat their customers like trash. Yeah, I've heard a lot of funny stuff about Spirit Airlines, Vicky. Definitely a lot of funny stuff has been going on there. Overall, like, Spirit has had a lot of weird things, obviously, and I know I've seen a lot of weird videos of them like kicking people off, and people call it lots of weird names and stuff, like just calling it weird names like bad airline and just stuff like that. So Spirit's definitely very, very interesting. But JB says Goldman Sachs question mark. Let's see it. GS Goldman Sachs. Can we get some good movement out of Goldman Sachs? I mean, on the daily, looks like we have some good movement going on, but the question is are we going to be able to break out of these resistances and be able to break out of these all-time highs? And if we see JP Morgan and Bank of America continue to go up, Goldman I think could go up too, obviously. JP Morgan looks like a pretty solid play. Bank of America, pretty solid too. And I think Goldman should do pretty well. It's just that it's hard to say because Goldman's been a pretty good outperformer lately. But, man, I would say that they could retest maybe 393. And who knows, maybe they'll get back up and retest that $400 resistance. Jerry says, thank you, no problem there. Vicky says vaccines are an individual choice. If you catch the vaccine, or if you catch the disease and you get it, then that's your choice. If you die from something else, that's your problem too. So yeah, makes a lot of sense, Vicky. I see exactly what you're saying there. Gab says exactly. So yep, I agree. Just let everyone have their own choice. I don't really see forcing anyone to have to do anything. I'm generally against forcing anyone to have to do anything. That's normally not a good thing to do. But looking at some of these stocks we've been talking about lately, like NNDM, like Nano Dimensions, NNDM I think looks really good. Possibly for the long term. For the short term, don't know what to think about it. We could always go down, but I think that it looks like we're at support levels. I really like it. I think it could have some pretty good movement here over the next few days. Guys, let me know what stocks you're watching. Like we'll do like a last call on the stocks. We're getting towards the end of the stream today, but we have a lot of interesting movement. Moderna is moving back to the downside. Unfortunately, it's been a really up and down day, and I think we might start to see some downwards movement out of Moderna soon. It definitely is looking strange, even on the daily chart. Some of these wicks are starting to get very, very overextended, looking really strange. Let's see. Gab says, I'll ask thoughts on CLOV for the long term. Let's see. CLOV, let's check it out. Clover Health. I think that they should do pretty decent for the long term. Now, I'm not saying that I'm guaranteeing them to, fly up or anything like that, but I think that CLOV could end up doing pretty well for the long term. Now, it's not my favorite stock. My problem with them is that they had so much hype, but I think that they'll end up going up in the longer term, and I think that we'll see some pretty good moves to the upside. And especially like with Clove, it looks like they're right around that good to $8 support. You know, I know we had a clove position a while back, and it was hovering right around $8, just right above that for a long time. And I really hope that it can kind of break out and maybe like get up for you, because I think that it could have some pretty good moves, Gab, for the long term. I think it'll be really good to pick up some shares. Corbin says COVID isn't serious. They're using it as a smokescreen to distract people from the truth. And yep, that very well could be truth, or that could be true, Corbin. Nobody really knows. Mink says check out DIS. Let's see. DIS, Disney. I really think Disney could do pretty good here in the short term. I'm glad to see them moving up. I know they had some good news with Star Wars and one of their parks earlier, but looks like some really good movement out of Disney today anyways. And I think on the max daily chart, it looks pretty good for shares for the longer term. Anything around 175, I think, is a pretty big discount from those highs around 200. Now, could Disney go lower just based on like what I'm seeing on the chart and on technicals? Yes. Could we come down and retest 160? Sure we could. But I think for the longer term, Disney will do pretty well, and especially for shares, I really like it. Iranical says, waiting for NVIDIA to come down to buy some shares. Is $200 a share pretty good? Let's go check it out. NVDA, I'll look at it for you. Let's see. Is 200 a share good? Personally, I don't like that for shares at 200 myself, Iranical. Now, I really think that NVIDIA is a good stock. Now, I don't think that they're going to go anywhere for the longer term. I think they're going to do just fine, okay? But in all reality, like if I'm looking at this chart on NVIDIA, and I just have to be a realistic person here, I personally think that we could see a move maybe back down to like $150. Easily, I think we could see a move to 175. I think we could see a longer term move back down to like 150 or something. I would target somewhere more out there for shares, I think, Iranical. 200 is just way too close for me in the short term. If you wanted to do $200 as like an area of resistance, maybe for some maybe for a play on like like a quick like call option, or like naked calls or something, I think that could be a good way to go. But as far as NVIDIA goes, looks like we are getting some bad movement to the downside. I'll bet you the QQQ is starting to fall, because we're seeing a lot of these stocks start to move down, and looks like the QQQ is definitely consolidating and trying to do that. Mike says, not sure if you covered this already, but UPWK tanked because of a share offering. Is that good for the stock for the long term? And yes, it is actually good, Mike, for the long term. And no, I have not covered them, but I think that is good for the long term, but it's terrible. It's actually terrible news for the short term, like really bad news. Really bad news, Mike. But for the longer term, it's going to be really good. The company's getting a lot of money, but keep in mind, it's making you're putting more shares on the market, so you're making it a little bit harder, for the stock to move up. But you're at the same time you're getting the company a lot of money, because you're offering those shares obviously for capital. So it's a win. It's a win-lose situation. There's some positives, some negatives, but it's better for the longer term, bad in the short term, and that's normally how it always goes. And one big thing is SPCE. You can see how much they were flying up. They had a successful test flight, which went well, and then they tanked off the face of the earth, which was not a good thing to see. They ended up flying down because they had a share offering, and lots of people were looking at SPCE to the upside, and even though they had a good catalyst and a good move, that share offering really made them tank. So that's just one way to show it. Jay Lehman says check out WKHS. Let's check it out. Workhorse, yeah, it's moving to the downside. I'd be pretty careful with Workhorse. These earnings might not go well. If they go well, then maybe it'll be a good time to buy Workhorse down here at the lows. But personally, it's not my favorite EV stock. I'd rather get something like Lucid, like LCID. I think they'll be a lot better for the longer term, and I think that they're at better levels right now, but both of them are pretty low. I just like them a lot better. Raphael says BT. I've actually never heard of this one, bitdigital.com. I've never heard of this one, but I will say this is some pretty solid movement. Raphael. Pretty good stock. Thanks for bringing this one to my attention. If it breaks above $14, I mean, you're going to see a solid run. That $14 resistance is actually pretty defined right there. So I think we might see a pretty good move out of BT. Yeah, really really crazy stock today. Thanks for that call out, Raphael. Bibbin says check out the DAX, the German 30. All right, I'll check it out really quick. Let's see. It's actually moving back to the upside. Looks like on the daily we're coming back. I'll say that it kind of looks like to me, B, that we're gonna get a good move back to the upside to me out of this. It's don't quote me. I don't know a bunch about German stocks or anything, but it does look like it had a bad dip lately, and like we're just kind of coming right back to the upside. I think it looks pretty good. Jay says workhorse 10-4. Thanks, much appreciated. Yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. I wish they would be. I wish I liked them a little better, but I think that some of those other companies, I think they'll end up producing better cars and having just better like looking vehicles and stuff, which will create more sales and stuff. But ZY seems pretty good. I haven't heard of this stock, but I checked it out for you, Willie. I will say, don't really like it too much, but it's recovering up nicely, trying to fill that bad gap that it had down the other day. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but really crazy. Gab says favorite weed plays. I'm confused on which ones I should get in. Don't know much of the companies and the sector. My favorite weed plays are Tilray. I really like them for the long term. CGC should do well for the long term, but my favorite marijuana stock on the market is one that most people don't even talk about. And it's not this one. Another one I like that's not as good as my favorite one is CANN. I think CANN can do pretty well. It's a U.S. company, and it's only like 60 or 50 cents a share, and it normally has pretty good runs when the MJ sector does well. So I think CANN is also a good one, but keep in mind if it goes down, you're gambling with CANN. So, but my favorite marijuana stock on the market that no one ever talks about is PLNHF. Okay, no one ever talks about Planet 13, and it's actually had a really bad like pullback here to the downside, actually consolidating down here right around like $5.31. I think this stock looks very solid for the long term, hitting right off of support at $5. And this is a U.S. company, okay? All these other companies are normally Canadian companies. Tilray, CGC, ACB, Aora Cannabis. They're Kronos, I think, is even. Don't quote me on Kronos. They might be U.S., but overall, most of those stocks have been Canadian. And when I look at them now, Planet 13 is a U.S. company, and if the U.S. starts to legalize, Planet 13 is going to do very, very well. They have locations in California and Las Vegas right now, and they own like huge like marijuana like Walmarts, big superstores. I think PLNHF is one of the best ones out there. Not trying to get into a Planet 13 sales pitch or anything right now, but I think it's really one of my favorite stocks for the longer term. And they're down pretty low right now, so I really like that as well. I think it'll be really solid. And guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. Mike should be back tomorrow on Friday, so if you guys haven't enjoyed me, Mike will be back tomorrow, so hopefully he will be back. And I really appreciate you guys joining the stream. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys are new here, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps us out. Also hit that like button, please. That'll also give us a pretty good little boost and helps our morale. So for overall, thank you guys for joining. Have a good rest of your day, and hopefully the trading day goes pretty well for us.